Hello YouTubers, welcome to my channel for the novice, TamiyaTruckBuilding. In this episode we'll get straight back into the build with stages 2 and 3 of the Tamiya kit 56312, the Volvo FH12 tractor truck. In part 1 we put together the horns on top of the servos, one for the gearbox and one for the steering, and they're slightly different and the line slightly different. In part 2 we're going to locate the plastic parts that fit onto these servos. I've already taken the parts off the sprues. There is Q6 and 2 C4s which is necessary for the steering servo. So let's make sure we pick the right one. Pick the steering servo. We've got that part. If I can pick it up, it's slippy. Those parts. I've taken out the 3, 6, 7 screws that are required for section 2. And the screws required for this are MA8s times 2, which are the dark coloured shouldered ones. So that's those. And on the back there's one further MA8 and a BC1. So there's the further MA8, and the BC1 is the standard 3x8 screw. That one is a single screw because it's just a fixed hole. The one with the flange on it is because this particular one side here moves, which I can show you. This particular one moves. So let's just assemble that to start with, as per the diagram. Look carefully at the diagram. You can see there's a slot on the top of that, so you wouldn't put it in that way, you put it in that way. Okay, hold it where you want. This is the one that has the standard screw in it, so I'm just going to put an ordinary screw in this one. Just do it up, pinch it tight. The one that goes in the other side is a slide one to allow for different widths of servo, and it's one of these screws with a head on it, with a flange on it, sorry. The reason for the flange is it allows it to grip in an elongated hole. Again, it's important to get it the right way around. Now I've done that up just to tight. Now just back it off just half a turn. That will allow it to move for us to put the servo in position. Hold it like the photo shows. You can see it there. Now it shows the wire coming out the back end and the servo facing that way around, and it shows that these particular items go underneath here, not on top. So that wouldn't be right. That is right. Now we know that's a fixed end there, so let's do that end first. And it shows of the 2 screw holes, it's the one nearest me that has the screw in it. So I'm just going to pop that screw into there. Again, I'm not going to do it up fully tight just yet. Just back it off a touch till I've got the one in at the other end. It's not always worth doing them up tight initially, because then you find your hole at the back end is out of alignment. Put the screw in the hole at the back end that we want. I can just get it in the right place. There we go. do that one up. Now I'm going to hold that flush against the side of the servo and do it up. And I've just done that one up tight. It's now flush against the side of the servo and flush against the side in there. What we can do now is we can do the one up at the other end as well. So just put it flat on the table, make it easy for me to just pinch that back up again, and there we go. That's that one complete with its mounting bracket ready to go on the chassis rails at a later stage. Now we just do the shift servo one, so shift gearbox. We get it the right way around, as you can see from the picture. This one's the other way around, it's got the wire coming this way. You'll notice that the screws go in the back holes this time, this side here, and there are these two brackets which I've already taken off the sprues, which is marked up as Q7. That's that one, and you've got the other little one there. Try to turn it around the right way so we can see it. There we go. That one's Q2. To take up the different widths of servo, you can see again there is another sliding hole there. Now in the case of this particular one, there are two MA7 screws and another MA7 screw, so there's three screws that are exactly the same. And if you want to know which ones they are, you just look on here, MA7, you can see it's the chrome coloured one times 3. This is basically a 3x8 screw with a head on it. If you didn't have that flange head on it, it would probably pull the plastic apart when you try and do up these elongated holes. Again, I'm just going to do it up to the end and just back it off a bit. That allows that to move. This is going on underneath the servo, so that's not correct, it goes underneath. Yep. We'll start with the solid end first, and the screw goes on the inside there. Now the servo is in the way, so just gently move it out of the way. Just a little bit of force required for that, not much. Try again. Pop that in place. Pop my screw in position, which goes in there. Try and do it left-handed, but I'm not left-handed. Just hold that there and swap hands as you do, and drop that in that hole there. Again, you're looking for it to be flush against the side of there and flush against the side of there. So I'm holding it flush in those two positions while I just pinch it up, which will be there. This end is still loose, as you can see. It will in fact move up and down. Yeah. This one doesn't go fully flush against the servo because of the flange on the head of that, but it's near enough. The last screw now goes in here, into this hole. Do that one up. I'm holding it tight against the side of the servo and just pinch it up tight. So there we go. Flush against there, flush against there. Check it against your diagram as well to make sure you put it back together correctly. Looks correct to me. And there we go. Step 2 complete. Here's a Colin tip for you. This is a panel we'll be looking at later on in the build, but it's got two holes here, which are 3mm holes, and a standard 3mm screw will fit in those holes, self-tappers. Sometimes they can be really tight, they can be difficult to do, like this one here. Sometimes they have to go in quite a long way. This one doesn't, but I'm just doing for an example for you, and I'm hoping to simulate the difference. So that one's going in there, and it's relatively tight at the moment as it's cutting its way through the plastic, through the hole, and making its own thread. As you can see, it hasn't quite come through the other side yet. So here's the tip. Use a bit of grease. Just bring your grease to the end, just touch the end of your screw, put your screw in place, and do it again. I hope you can see I'm not using any more pressure than the last one, but that's going in much easier. The other thing you can do, another tip, is that when it gets so far in, back it off a couple of turns and then go forward again, and it goes a lot easier. Look how easy now that's gone all the way through. Let's go back to the one that doesn't have any grease on it, which is still quite tight. Now, there are those that would say, yeah, but putting grease on there, you could then potentially make the screw loose. That'll have to be a judgment call for you. There are some times when you have to put thread lock on screws that you couldn't do that because you don't want the screws to come undone with vibration. But generally you'll find the thread lock is on tapped holes where you're using threaded screws and not self-tappers. So usually you can get away with this, and I'll tell you when it works really well. It works well when you're doing the little 2mm screws and you're using a smaller screwdriver to actually do it up. So there you go, put a drop of grease on the end. We're now going to look at build stage 3, which is here. There are 4 plastic parts required for this: C19, C20, D3 and D2, and these are those parts. These make up the cross member between the two chassis sections for the back of the truck. In essence, it's going to go like that, with the other part has just got to have some bits put on it. So that's it. In terms of parts for number 3, up here we've got 2 BA5 screws, which are the long ones. We've got 2 BC1s, which are 3x8s. 2 of these press nuts, which are quite interesting, and 2 washers. The press nuts are shown in these little diagrams here, and I don't know whether the camera can pick that up, but on the bottom of them is a serrated edge, and as the screw does up, it pulls the serrated edge into the back of the plastic and locks it in position. Quite clever. And 2 washers to go on those screws there so that they don't pull into these plastic holes here. So let's just put them together, shall we? We'll start with D3 and C20. Again, line your parts up. Now here's a very interesting one. When you look at this, it looks identical, but is it? And where the camera can pick up there, that side is completely smooth. That side has 2 raised parts on it, and if you look at the picture, it shows the raised parts on the top. So it'd be quite easy to put that in the wrong way around. Look at the picture, it tells you exactly what to do. We move that one out of the way just for the moment. We want D3, which will be that one, and they go together like that. Here's another Colin tip. Sometimes it can be difficult to find where the hole is, so I tend to keep something like a dowel available, because you can just put that in. You can just line the 2 up to start with, hold it where it is, pop your screw in and do your screw up. And there we go. That's the one side done. This side I'm going to do exactly the same. If we look at it on there, it goes together like that. Finding exactly where the screw hole is could be difficult. See, I was out a little bit, so that's lined it up for me. Put the screw in. Doesn't want to go in this one. In fact, the alignment of my holes moves slightly. Let's try again. Sometimes it can be easier to pick them up with a magnetic screwdriver if you've got one. It says here using a magnetic screwdriver. Just to get those nice and square, pop it down on the bottom there and just do it up. At least they're symmetrical with each other again then. And there we have it. Double check to make sure we go the right way around. Yep, that looks good to me. That bit's done. Now we're going to do the C19 part, which is this piece. Now again, when you look at it, it's slightly different. And if you look at the picture, they're very good at this Tamiya with their diagrams. They're very, very accurate. That one shows there, like that, as you can see, with the part sticking out and just a little bit down there. Or is it that way around? Yep, okay, got it the right way around. So now we put in these two parts and we just pop them in the hole for the moment. And again, so it's worth looking as well, incidentally, when you're putting together threaded screws like this, do they ask for thread lock? If there is a need for thread lock, you will get a diagram of a miniature version of a tube on there. So they're in place at the moment. Okay, what we need to do now is put these on the other side. So I'm just going to do one, which may be difficult to be seen by the camera because it's very, very awkward to get at. In fact, I might even use a small pair of pliers here to do this. Pop it in place where you want it to be, like so. Just turn it in place to get in line with what you want. Now the nut is in at the back, but what's happening now, it's spinning slightly because it hasn't actually yet caught onto the plastic. So I'm just putting a little bit of pressure from the back just to get it to start. Now it has gone into the plastic. You can see that at the back, but it's drawn that into the plastic, and in fact you can see there's a little bit of a recess hole in the plastic there which will allow you to to slot into. Now we do the other one. I've not exactly got thin fingers, so sometimes I find that using a pair of pliers to initially locate your part isn't a bad thing to do. Once you get it in place so that the threads can start. That's going in now. And again we'll do that one up tight to pull it through. Obviously these screws aren't doing anything at the moment. I suspect the purpose of this exercise is to just get the captive nuts in the back. At some stage these will be undone again because something else will be attached to them. But that is stage 3 completed. Well, that's it for this episode, YouTubers. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll be back soon with part 4. Bye for now.